Don't say bad things anymore. It's on the record.
We are live.
My clock has disappeared, James.
It's going. That work?
That's better. Now I can see.
It's nice and cool. Yeah, thank goodness. I came up here earlier to put the printout on everybody's desk.
It's cooking.
Yes.
Sirens and dogs barking. And it's like, we just moved to the city.
I feel like this is closed in.
It is. I don't know if you can see it better or worse.
I don't know.
Don't need.
I hate being way up here. Although everybody loves it when they come in. They're like, that's where you sit. It's like, yeah, you can sit there. Usually, when we have meetings, I sit where you are. That ambulance a long time. Call the meeting to order. I want to acknowledge that the Smokeman Valley, in which we learn, work, and organize, is the ancestral, traditional, and unceded territory of the Smokeman people, home of the Upper Smokeman Indian Band. I do have one agenda addition, which is 11.1, new business, and that's an appointment. Other than that, can I get a motion to adopt the agenda? Thank you. McLean. Second. Elliott. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Adoption of the March 4th regular meeting of council minutes. Thank you, Council Gould. Seconder. Council McLean. Errors or omissions? All in favor? Carried. Adoption of the March 10th Committee of the Whole minutes. Thank you, Elliott. McLean. Errors or omissions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, section 4, petitions and delegations. We have 3, and then we have another one from Kim. So I'm going to read this, and so everybody understands the rules of what we have to go by. Each delegation shall be limited to a 15-minute presentation unless longer period is agreed upon by 2/3 of the majority vote of council members present. The Town of Princeton Council, by resolution carried unanimously, provides an opportunity for individuals to address council as per delegations petitions with regard to items included in the agenda, excluding bylaws in which the public hearing consultation period has been held. Council reserves the right to refuse an individual to speak if that individual has spoken at a previous meeting regarding an item. Individuals wishing to participate in this opportunity are required to put their name on the list, which I have, and reference the agenda item that is to be addressed. Each person will have a maximum of 15 minutes at council's discretion to bring forward their comments. So we'll go with the first one that's on the list is Brian. If you want to step up to the mic and just tell us who you are and where you live, and then we'll...
Is this on?
Yeah.
Nice. So I'm Brian Wassman. My other half, I know some of you on council. My other half, Sean, is here. So I'm on talking about the development variance permit that you guys are looking at today. So I just want to kind of reiterate and go through what it is and why I feel the way I do, and my other half too. So, dear Mayor and council members, we took possession of our property, 138 Deerview Crescent, on December 2nd of 2025. Sean has lived here in Princeton for over 20 years, 20 plus years. I was here about 8 years. We moved away to Merritt for jobs, and we moved back. When we went through our negotiations on our property, we were provided a building scheme document, which is KF 109485. And we were very happy with the document, as then the subdivision would stay as one of the premier subdivisions in the town of Princeton, which is reflected in the price we pay. So fast forward 2 months, now we are facing a project that goes against the building scheme for the Deerview Crescent. When the document was brought up, I brought this document to the council last meeting. That's why it got postponed. And the reasons why we purchased our house up there. So I asked the mayor and the council to deny this variance. The property owner at 146 Deerview was provided the same documents upon purchase, same as the documents he would have got from his, or they would have got from their lawyers. They would have went over this documentation. So with knowing that, there are many other properties or acreages in the area that would allow this variance and be not an issue. So he knew up front, they knew up front they couldn't do it, but they still went ahead. Currently in the Princeton, there are 2 premier subdivisions, Deerview, Westridge, which attract buyers both in and out of the town. Looking for larger lots, improved privacy, the town of Princeton should protect these areas and abide by the subdivision bylaws and building schemes that were put in place many, many years ago. Our building scheme automatically renews every 10 years. The next time it renews is in 2027. We strongly feel that this application be denied and stay with the bylaw under the town of Princeton of 100 meters carriage house with a garage. With the building scheme, we are not allowed to remove native trees in the area unless they have been inspected and identified as dead standing or in the way of accessing parts of the property. So your driveway, if you're building your house, you can take out those trees. At the time, so right now, at the time of the permit, hang on here, dead standing, at that time, a permit needs to be applied for, approved by the town of Princeton. For example, we don't have a fence around our property. Only one side, there's a fence. So we're gonna build a fence. The reason why we're gonna build a fence is we want a dog. So if I was gonna build a fence and there is a native tree, so pine, spruce, I have to build around the tree. I can't take it down. There are fences in the neighborhood this way. Prime example, if you go down the road, first house on your left, you'll see a white picket fence and it is around the tree. They could not take the tree down. So, taking that into consideration, so going back to the current property owner, 146 Deerview, they removed native trees that would not be in the way of building, but to obtain a view. That's it. So they were on the embankment. This is clearly against the building scheme and the town of Princeton. To our knowledge, not a permit was obtained. This is an example of previously following the town of Princeton bylaws. I beg the question, what's going to be next? What is going to be sidestepped with this property? During the meeting with Mr. McNaughton and understanding the province's directives of building and housing, we understand the overarching goal to provide additional housing. The DVP is for a carriage house with a shop to maximum 190 meters square. It appears that the DVP would support more of the shop than a coach house. We do not support the current bylaw. We do support the current bylaw and stay within the 100 meters square for the coach house, but not okay for the 190 and a 3-bay shop. Again, I please ask the mayor and council to deny the variance and stay within the current bylaws of the town. We feel the property owner is just putting the carriage house there as they know they would never get approved for a standalone 3-bay shop the size of it is. So, this can be viewed as a potential manipulating the process and the bylaws that have been in place for the town of Princeton and Deerview Crescent subdivision. Looking at the slope of the roof, it would indicate that a big portion of the upstairs is unusable. You'd have to be about 3 feet tall on the one side. Like, because the carriage house is going to be on the end and built up. The slope of it, the back side, unusable. You couldn't, and the bylaws and building, you couldn't do that. You can't have a 3-foot ceiling. So this area, our Deerview area, provides peace and quiet, higher level of privacy with large lots, family oriented, which we all can agree upon. I was out on the street yesterday talking to my neighbors. Not a single vehicle came past us in over 45 minutes. All I heard was birds chirping, a few deer strolling around. As owners of the subdivision, we want to keep this. With a building, a shop of this size, I really question the intention of what they're going to use it for. Ask yourself, would you like this something? Would you like this in your neighborhood or your neighbor? The change from peace and quiet to potential custom cars being built, engines revving, or who knows what else, once this is built, it doesn't go back. In talks with our lawyer about the building scheme that is currently in place and getting their legal advice, if the project moves forward as property owners, we can initiate a lawsuit against the property owners of 146 Deerview for going against the subdivision bylaws that are in place. Potentially, it could include all the property owners in the subdivision because we're all part of it. So I asked again, Mayor and Council, with knowing this, why would you approve the variance knowing homeowners would be very upset? This is going to create an issue within the property owners of Deerview and the town of Princeton. We're not going to be happy up there with the town of Princeton. So it's kind of like, why? So we're asking you to deny the variance and stay within the current bylaws. The bylaws are there, just stay within them. I'm not saying don't build it, but stay within the bylaw. That's all what I want. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Thank you. Next up, we have Mark. Mark Holmes. Yeah, just state your name and where you are.
My name's Mark Holmes. My wife Kelly behind me. We're the owners of 146 Deerview. I was actually a little surprised that there would be opposition to our variance application. You know, we've made an application based on how it would affect our neighbors. Our direct neighbors, Ben and Angelica, are adjacent to the property, and our initial approach was build the house the way we want, the shop with the shop to house our classic cars, and as bylaws would allow and as the building scheme would allow. Now, if we took that approach, the worst possible thing could happen. We would offend our immediate neighbors because we would block their view completely. And that's an important issue for us, is not to have a significant impact on our neighbor, one of the prime features of our neighbor's property. So the logical conclusion that Kelly and I came to was to, instead of building in the prime location, which would take advantage of the view, we would move the house forward adjacent to our immediate neighbors and then position the shop as far back on the property as possible so that it wouldn't impede any of their view. I did attach photographs of the of the view that would be obstructed if we had to attach our 3-bay garage and carriage or the carriage house to the house. It would obliterate Ben and Angelica's view, and we just don't want to do that. We're doing our best to be, good neighbors, and I think it's critical to take that into consideration. We'll have to live next door to each other, and to make an enemy at the outset is just not. It's not appropriate. So we are aware that we had two approaches to this. We could build our house, apply to build our house with the shop attached to it, and we could have been building by now. It would have met all the bylaws, and that just didn't make sense. We chose to separate the two and apply for the variance. And if our variance was not approved, then we would be forced to connect the shop to the house by way of a breezeway, which again would obstruct our neighbor's view. We don't want to do that either. If you place a 12-foot high breezeway right through someone's prime view, it doesn't make any sense. It's not the smart thing to do. It's not the right thing to do either. So separating the two and having a variance to approve it is the logical conclusion. Now, our neighbor to the south, I'm sorry, Mr. Wassman, he has voiced concerns about the size of the shop. Who needs a 3-bay shop? Well, we have 5 classic cars, and which, if we want to preserve their value, they need to be stored indoors. It's always been my dream, our dream actually, to have our home be able to accommodate, our cars, and allow me to be able to work on them as to maintain them. The roof line of the house or the shop allows for a hoist to be installed, so I can raise a car to be able to walk underneath it without banging my head to do maintenance on it. And that's the purpose of the design of the shop. If I had designed it to be 2 stories, it would be visible, very visible from the road. It would obstruct more of the view. It wouldn't make any sense. So we designed it to be as low as possible, still be able to accommodate our hoist, and the placement speaks for itself as to where we want to locate it. Now, in response to the roof line and unusable space, we have a 10-foot rear wall of the shop, and it raises up to about 25 feet on the front. The carriage house, or the suite on one end, is a 700 square foot suite with a mezzanine bedroom. Now, the height of the mezzanine is within code. It probably goes from about 8 feet to about 12 feet on one end, and then on the lower level, the height of the suite wall is in excess of 10 feet at the other end. So I'm not sure where 3 feet of headroom comes from, but we had the plans drawn and specifically addressed height issues, so I don't know where that would come into play. As far as tree removal is concerned, I have to be honest, I wasn't aware that you needed a permit to remove any trees. If that's the case, then I admit I made a mistake. The trees we did remove, one is where our shop sits, our proposed shop is going to sit. The other is exactly where our basement of our home would be, because we're putting a partial basement in on the bank side to create stability for the house, because the city inspectors have a concern about slope stability. So as part of the process, we added a basement to increase the overall stability of the structure, as well as in, retaining a geotech engineer. So I guess what we're asking council to do is approve our variance based on the approach that we're doing our best to preserve our immediate neighbor's view. We know it's within our rights to attach the house to the shop, and we don't, or the shop to the house. We don't want to do that. It just doesn't make sense. You know, it's going to dramatically affect our neighbor's property, and we don't want to do that. You know, this makes the most sense. There's already been a precedent set up the road where there has been oversized shops, variance approvals made. So there is precedent. You know, this, because you can't see our shop or very little of it from the street. I don't know how it impacts the neighborhood. If our neighbors are worried about, you know, people racing up and down the street, I don't think that would be. I think I would be respectful enough to be considerate of my neighbors and not do that. You know, I'm not a delinquent. I'm not a street racer. I have classic cars. I have a love affair with cars. It's been my lifelong dream to build my dream shop, build my dream home, and retire. And that's what my intention is. You know, I want to be a good neighbor. I want to be a upstanding member of the community. I want to eventually volunteer. I just want to be part of this community. I've been dreaming about this my whole life. So I'm just hoping that you don't find any meaningful objections to my wife and I building what we've always dreamed to build. And I guess, I mean, in regards to the building scheme, there are a couple of things that that you can't really follow to the letter, You know, part of the building scheme, one of the first things says that the grantee would the grantor would give permission, would have to approve the all plans. Anything that's built in that subdivision would have to be approved by the developer or the grantor. I've gone I've made a real effort to contact lawyers and relatives, and the lawyers are dead. The developer is nowhere to be found, and I suspect he's passed away. So he can't even grant permission to build anything. Does that mean that all three of the remaining lots can never be built on? I don't think that really makes sense, and that's not what the intent was. As far as what is allowed and not allowed, I think what we're asking for does, with the exception of the square footage that we want on our shop, we're well within the building scheme and the bylaws. So it is, I agree, a significant increase in size to the carriage house, but again, the reasoning for it is not for any commercial means or anything beyond personal use, storing my classic car collection, and being able to work on them and enjoy my retirement. That's about it in a nutshell. I hope that we're not forced into joining the two structures together and obstructing our neighbor's view. I really think that would be a mistake. So anyhow, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Just before you sit down, did you say you already got a geotech?
I've got a geotech in OK Falls, yes.
Okay, I just thought I heard you say that, so it was just one question I was going to have for staff was about geotech. So, Angelica.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Angelica Guillemino. I live at 142 Deerview Crescent, which is directly next door to the property requesting the variance. I did send a letter through email. I don't know if that's been read or if I need to read that.
We got it this afternoon.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So, okay. So I don't have to reread that? Or,
Nope.
no? Okay. So I'd like to just focus on 3 concerns then. First, the application itself seems to be inconsistent. It relies on a carriage house designation to justify a much larger building, but the plans continue to present it as a shop or a garage. There are different uses with different rules, and it cannot be both. Second, there is currently no principal dwelling on the lot. A carriage house is meant to be secondary and incidental to a home. So without that relationship in place, it's unclear how the proposal can be properly evaluated. Third, there are factual gaps that affect the integrity of the application, including the staff report stating there's an existing dwelling where there is not, incomplete consideration of the site slopes, and unclear creek setback measurements. These are not minor details, and they directly affect compliance and safety. The proposal introduces a structure that is as large as or larger than the home itself. It does not meet the intent of being incidental as per the building scheme. It would also have a direct impact on my home. Aside from the view, that's not why we chose to move up into Deerview. My privacy and the character of our neighborhood is also affected. Approving this variance will be going against the building scheme that we all relied on when we purchased our home. So aside from that, going back to privacy, the way the property is cut and where our home is towards the back of the property. So allowing this huge structure to be back there along with a home and a carriage home, I could potentially have 2 families looking straight into my home, and that includes both noise, pollution from if it's got vehicles, that sort of thing. The view for me is, that's besides the point. I moved from the Lower Mainland to come up here because I enjoyed the privacy, the peaceful neighborhood, and the quiet. It's I'd hate to see this redevelopment of a neighborhood and doubling its population by allowing a variance for a carriage home itself. Again, I just, based on these concerns, I respectfully ask the council to deny the variance or defer the application so it's complete, accurate, and clearly compliant.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. With that, we'll move on to the next presentation, which is from Kim English. Kim is going to talk to us about Community Foundation for 15 minutes.
I have my eye on the clock. I'm going to follow my script as best as I can, and I will say I feel like I shortchanged you on some really good photos, so you're going to have to hear more of my voice. But good afternoon, Mayor Coyne and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to share a short update about the Community Foundation's work in Princeton. My name is Kim English. I work for the Community Foundation of the South Okanagan Smilkameen, and I am a neighbor who lives in Karamias, and I've lived in the Smilkameen Valley now, 17 or 18 years, so it definitely feels like home. Oh, now I'm jumping ahead. Where did that happen? Oh, going the wrong way. Oh, okay, here we go. Do you want me to press the present from beginning? And then what way do we do?
Yeah, and just arrows.
Oh, arrows, okay, thanks. All right. Today I'll share a snapshot of our work and how it is showing up in Princeton and a few opportunities ahead. The Community Foundation, we work with 3 main groups with donors, charities, and communities. We work with donors to establish funds that support causes they care about, whether that's bursaries or community funds, or support local organizations. We support nonprofits through grants, partnerships, and opportunities to connect and learn from one another. And we invest in community initiatives that strengthen neighborhoods, including programs like the Neighborhood Small Grants. More recently, we've also moved into impact investing. For example, we hold the mortgage for the Summerland Food Hub and Farm, supporting a local food initiative while generating returns for the foundation. What makes the Community Foundation model unique is that it connects generosity with local priorities, ensuring resources stay rooted in the community. Just in the first quarter of 2026, the Community Foundation supported more than $26,000 in grants and programs benefiting residents, Penticton organizations, and residents. But zooming out for a moment, since 2020, through a combination of community fundraising, emergency response, and donor contributions, the Foundation has helped direct over $1.7 million into Princeton and surrounding communities. That level of generosity speaks to something important. People here show up for each other, and there's a lot of heart here. One story that stands out since I saw you the last time is the legacy of the Princeton Masonic Lodge, number 95, and I wish I had a photo of that original group. After more than a century of service to the community, the lodge closed its doors in 2024. But their commitment to Princeton and giving didn't end there. In fact, it will continue forever. They established 2 permanent endowment funds with the Community Fund, the Princeton Masonic Lodge 95 Bursary Fund, and the Princeton Masonic Lodge number 95 Legacy Fund. These legacy funds will continue supporting local charities and students, turning more than 100 years of service into ongoing support for the community in perpetuity. So stories like that just show, really underscore how generosity just doesn't respond, local generosity doesn't respond in moments, but that it can also be carried forward year after year. At the same time, it's important to note that many of the grants supporting Princeton organizations today are still coming from regional funds. So for 2026 requests, we had nearly $100,000 from local organizations, and we were only able to grant just under $30,000. So this brings us to the Princeton Communities Fund. Alongside those legacy funds, the Community Foundation also holds the Princeton and District Community Fund. This was established in 2014 as a permanent endowment fund to support local programs, events, and organizations. Since then, it has granted more than $72,000 locally. However, if you look at the numbers, our current balance is just at $37,000, which limits how much it can generate each year. So while Princeton is receiving support, much of it is still coming from the regional funds rather than a strong local endowment. And that's really an important opportunity that's in front of us. Growing the fund means that building a long-term resource that belongs to Princeton and one that can support organizations year after year. And this is just one of my kind of soft asks to council. And I will say you've been really great with promoting the Community Foundation and linking and helping establish these funds. But to continue that by simply helping raise awareness that the funds exist and encourage residents to invest in their community because people care. And they often just don't know where to direct a donation or a large donation. Now, alongside the long-term funds, we also invest in community leadership. Neighborhood Small Grants is now open, and these are micro grants that provide up to $500 for residents to bring neighbors together. Since the program started in 2016, we have awarded 35 projects just in the town of Princeton. These gatherings may be simple, but they build deeper connection, trust, and a sense of belonging. I think, do I have it here? Maybe not, but I would say easily almost every person in town's been touched or attended a Neighborhood Small Grant event, so I think that's really cool. Neighborhood Small Grants, they're just not events, but it really is about strengthening the social fabric of a community. These projects reduce isolation, encourage local leadership, and build relationships between neighbors. Over time, these small efforts help create communities that are more connected and resilient, and this is why the Community Foundation sees this program as a very impactful and low barrier program that ripples in all directions. There's just a little selection of photos there from previous events. And just briefly, I want to kind of connect neighborhood small grants and the goals and the values and kind of the outcome that we see and how it ties into ABCD, which is asset-based community development. Last fall, we hosted a 2-day workshop on ABCD. We invited Heather Keems from the Tamarack Institute to spend 2 days with about 60 neighbors across the region. And it was really just a simple idea to us to start with what's strong here rather than what's wrong here. It's looking at that glass as a half full rather than a half empty. And what was really great was there were 2 tables of people just from the Similkameen. We had people from Eris, Tulameen, Princeton, Headley, Karamias, Costin show up, including Mayor Coyne, so thank you for dropping in and spending time there. And those conversations led to continuing me setting up the Possibility Circle, which I host on the first of each Wednesday of the month, just to bring neighbors together, talk ideas, get collaboration into collective action, and whether that's through a grant or not, it's just a space to get people to come together. So with neighborhood small grants, I'm doing good on my time. As I mentioned, the application is now open. It closes on April 17th. And this Saturday, I'll be hosting a free info session at the Princeton Library Room, and that will be from 11 to 11:45. So I welcome residents to come and drop in. And if you miss that, I will be doing an online info session Tuesday, March 24th. And I encourage people to reach out to me or go to www.cfso.net to look for those details. I just actually also want to say, with Neighborhood Small Grants, we've been offering this for 10 years. And what I'm about to speak to next kind of brings us together through conversations I've had with individuals like Mayor Coyne and other elected officials and community champions, which is what I'm working on, kind of the side of my desk under the umbrella of Neighborhood Small Grants, is the Neighborhood Resiliency Stream. And so I'm hoping this will be launched by June, July, and kind of really want to focus on a few communities to pilot this, and then we can branch it out regionally and then maybe even provincially over the next few years. But rather with Neighborhood Small Grants, it's really, intention to get together, to get to know each other, build on ideas. But the Resilience Neighborhood Stream will be for neighborhoods that have that readiness to discuss kind of those local problems and have resident-led projects that are around climate adaptation. So that could be creating, working from toolkits that already exist. So the idea is really straightforward. It's neighbors helping neighbors be more prepared. And as we know in small communities, the first support people receive is often from the people next door. So I've secured some initial funding for this work, and like I said, aiming to launch it in the late spring, summer, and this is also in collaboration with the RDOS. I forgot I put the slide in. So this is kind of my working piece of growing local leadership. Again, it's that piece everyone in community talks about, everyone wearing the same hats. What we've changed this year for Neighborhood Small Grants is if an individual has received 2 grants over the past 10 years, we're going to encourage them to invite their neighbor to put that application and share that leadership. And finally, I just, if you haven't been aware, but in the past 3 years, the Community Foundation has focused on food systems and food security. And in the winter, we released the Vital Signs Spotlight on Food Security, which looks closely on how food access and food local systems are changing across the South Okanagan Similkameen. I do encourage you to scan this. I don't have any hard copies. We've printed 3 runs and they're all gone. But in our findings, we found local farms in the RDOS produce about 9% of the food residents eat, meaning we rely heavily on imported foods, which leave us vulnerable, especially when transportation routes are disrupted. At the same time, research suggests that the region potentially could meet up to 70% of local food needs with different land use and stronger local markets. And also in our research, this is general collection data, but we know through Interior Health, they determined that families spend about $1,300 on groceries per month. And we know that that demand is really pressing on the food bank. So that's why this has been a priority focus for the foundation. And to tie it back into the Similkameen communities, recently we've invested $50,000 towards food systems. So that includes an additional, I think, $20,000 to the Karamias Inclusivity Garden, $20,000 to the Natampkin Food Hub in the Lower Similkameen, and Princeton and Services Community Services received $10,000 for their greenhouse. So these initiatives help strengthen both food access today and a resiliency for a stronger food system. So in closing, in many ways, our work at the foundation operates on two timelines. We help grow long-term funds that build lasting resources. We support programs and residents that activate community leadership right now. And together, those two pieces, resources and relationships, help communities thrive. As we've seen, when those come together, it can result in nearly $2 million flowing back to the community like Princeton through fundraisers, grants, and programs. So thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Kim. I think we have 1 year left on our project. If somebody gets a small neighborhood grant for a block party, we'll give them that top up, right?
That's great.
It's still in place? Yeah, so. Councilor Gould, do you have a question?
No questions. Just as always, thank you, Kim, for your information. It's always great to see the updates and how much we're actually fundraising for the community. So.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll be in touch.
I'm going to leave this poster here.
Yep.
Maybe I'll leave two if anyone wants to take or any.
Perfect. Thank you. That takes us to 6.1, which is development variance permit application. Mark? Bye, Randy.
We need to wait for him.
Yes.
Do we need a recess?
No, Mark can start this spiel. He can explain the permit.
Okay. All right, this is a development variance permit for
Can you go get him?
146 Deerview Crescent. We've heard neighbors and the developer speak. The variance is to increase the permitted size of a carriage house from 100 meters squared to 190 meters squared. The zoning for the property is RS1, single family residential, which permits secondary suites and carriage houses. The carriage house sizing in our zoning bylaw speaks to a maximum of 100 meters squared or 15% of the parcel area, whichever is greater. So the variance is to increase that 100 meters squared to 190 meters squared, which works out to about 5.9% of the parcel area. The height of the carriage house is 7.5 meters. The setbacks all meet the zoning bylaw as they stand, and overall coverage for the proposed house and carriage house is about 13% of the parcel. We heard a couple people talk about the building scheme. The reality of that building scheme is the town's statutory authority for development and obtaining building permits and following our bylaws is completely separate from that building scheme. The building scheme is a restrictive covenant between neighboring properties. not connected to the town's land use policy. As far as policy goes, the use is permitted. The zoning requirements for RS1 have all been met, other than that maximum size. Looking at the coverage, 13% versus a permitted 30% coverage on an RS1 lot. So it kind of speaks to the size of the lot. That's probably it. I think as well, it should be noted that in my report, I think it's just a typo. It has is developed with a single detached dwelling. It is being developed with a single detached dwelling, as stated in the purpose of the report. So the single detached is a 2-story house, approximately 3,000 square feet for the property.
Mark, on that, since this seems to be a big part of it, is the building scheme. We did get a legal opinion on that.
Yeah, the legal opinion is that the building scheme is completely separate from how the town manages and handles land use bylaws and policy. So in our low density residential, all of our policy in the OCP is about infill in the area of something like a carriage house. Same thing in the RS1 zoning and provincial policy. Everything is to support infill through things such as a carriage house.
Okay. And then removing trees, is that something we have a permit for?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so that would go back to the building scheme thing. So, okay, I'm just trying to rule out what we are and are not responsible for here, so that council understands where we sit, so everybody can make the proper decision. And then there was a comment about it not meeting subdivision bylaws. Is that?
The subdivision's complete. It's an existing RS1 lot, bare land at the moment.
Okay.
It is also 2 areas that are in our OCP, steep slope and development along steep slopes. We require new development to be set back 10 meters from our designated steep slopes. If they are not proposed outside of 10 meters, we rely on professional assessment, such as geotech, to say that the construction is safe. There is also a stream, and on the back side of the property, we have an environmental development permit that kicks in within 30 meters of that stream. This is well outside that mapping area.
Okay, and we did hear from the homeowner that he is actively engaged with a geotech already, so that's something that I'm guessing Alan
If it hasn't been caught at this point, at the building permit stage, it's a requirement. If the proposed setback is 6 meters, so and that steep slope mapping virtually matches up with his property line, so it would be captured at building permit stage.
Okay, I think those are the questions that I took from the notes. Is anybody else? Questions, Councillor Gould?
Oh, you can go, Councilor McLean first. Okay.
Ladies first.
Oh, thank you. So generous. So Mark, when I first was looking at this, my concerns were because this plan that's attached to it, the site plan is hand-drawn, and then I had to do conversions of metric to, like, from square meters to square footage, right, metric to English, yeah, there we go. And so then my concern was that because it's a proposed principal residence and then a proposed secondary dwelling.
Yep.
Looking at the schematics in the report, it wasn't meeting the size verification because it
shows the coverage.
It shows the coverage. Nowhere in there does it say that it's a 2-story. So once you do the 2-story, then it increases. Because my concerns were that always that we comply with our bylaws, and that the combined gross floor area of the accessory building, so being shop and carriage house, shall not exceed the gross floor area of the principal residence. So being 2 stories, proposed 2 stories, then it would be in compliance. And then the total gross floor area of the buildings and structures not to exceed that permitted, and that, which is well under. Like I think it's like 45%. Not like it's supposed to be maximum of 40%, and which is 13,869 square feet, and this is only 4,072.
I think it's important too that this variance is for an accessory to the permitted, which is a single family dwelling. That in our bylaws that accessory cannot be constructed first, but I think it's also clear that if he doesn't get this variance, then the plans for the single detached likely change, right? So we receive a building permit application for the house first, and then the building department can evaluate an accessory after that.
So there is a application right now, building permit application in for the house right now?
I'm not sure where the process is at, whether they've applied for them yet, but they cannot apply for this building permit until a building permit has been issued for the single family dwelling.
So
Point of
our
order, it will be
DVP
house and
set based on that? Like this is, the development various permit is subject to the building of that, but it doesn't say that in there. But it wouldn't, one wouldn't be able to happen without the
no,
other
exactly,
anyways.
yeah.
Okay.
And it would also be subject to a geotech
Yeah.
as well, right?
Yeah.
So there's still
Yeah. And
a
so
maybe there, so.
on that was my next concern, is again, it shows, and I had to blow it up because I'm blind. So I blew this up so I could actually read the numbers, because this was what was presented to us right here, and even with glasses, I can't read it, so I blew it up. And it's showing that the proposed placement is been pinned, like so that this is a legal survey. So based on that, it's well within the rear setback, it's well within the side setback. It's noted as undeveloped steep slope and then a ravine at the back. So in talking with you and explain, when I was asking, making sure that 20-foot setback is actually gonna be, and like you can't build half a house on a hill, right? So this is based on property pins, and you confirmed that we would require a site plan, a registered site plan before completion.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it would be subject to that.
With the steep slope, the measurement will have to be verified, as well as generally with new development, you ask for a location certificate for
a location, that was it. Thank you, location certificate. So if in fact it's too close to the ravine and it needs to be moved forward, then it's still within the setback, still within the coverage. We don't need to review it again if it was to, okay. And then lastly, I think my question is in regards to, there was a comment made that that building scheme that was sent to us, but it was not included in the package. Was it not included in our package because it doesn't apply to us?
It does not apply to us.
So we can't enforce or
What our lawyer
have
said to
base our
us.
opinion on that?
So the last meeting, the reason it was withdrawn from the last meeting was because, I think, was it you that sent it in? We got a copy, or we were told that there was a building scheme. So when I talked to Lyle and Mark and Carrie, it was like, what does this mean? Because nobody's ever brought one of those to us before. So we sent it to the lawyers for a legal opinion, and the legal opinion is that we have no, that's outside of us, that's like a, that's the neighbors, is a covenant between the neighbors and the developer, who is not us. We can't enforce their covenant because it's theirs, not ours, right? That's the gist of it. So that's why it's back today, is because we got that legal opinion in the meantime, and now with that legal opinion, Mark is brought based on the bylaws and the building, whatever, that's all here today to meet with us.
Great. I guess actually I have one more question here.
Yeah.
So my understanding of coverage for a shop / carriage house is what applies to the carriage house portion is only what is the residential part of it. Is that true, or is it the actual square footage? Whether it's because it's what I've seen from approvals or requirements from the ALR that we also then take into effect for the town of Princeton is you can have a shop with a carriage house on top as long as that carriage house residential living doesn't exceed that 90 meters squared.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
ALR is totally different though. They have the different set of rules, so don't.
No, but
Don't
but
add them
still,
to this.
but like that's where
Our,
I'm trying to go.
our
on the
bylaws
understanding.
our bylaws don't actually speak to needing garage space. It could be a garden suite, and the language that's in our bylaw is carriage house. So it could be a 100-meter square dwelling, or it can be the suite attached to the 3-car garage like this proposal. So it doesn't, we don't specify that other than through our gross floor area, which is the enclosed.
So it's not just the actual residential part of it is what needs to meet that carriage house requirement.
Correct.
It's the whole shop plus that has to meet that requirement because it's one building.
Can't hear.
Okay. Had it been a shop with it on top, it doesn't. Doesn't matter as long as it's within that 90.
Yeah, as long as that floor area is met. If the garage was like if the gross floor area was under 100 meters squared, then it wouldn't be coming to council.
Right.
Yeah.
But the actual residential part is under. It's just we're in court. The request is to increase it because it's including the shop and.
It includes the whole.
And then am I correct
Structure.
in that once I blew it up, I could see suite on this side. So the suite, the actual residential part will be away from this neighboring property, and this would be the road
Yeah, the bank
below
down
it.
to.
So no neighbors over here. The other neighbors would be. Is it over here? If I look at it, if one neighbor is here, that is now looking towards the road. The other neighbor is here. There's not a neighbor there.
Yeah, it's a bit of a panhandle driveway back there, right? It's a.
Yeah. I didn't even know there was a lot there.
Councilor McLean, you had questions?
Yeah, a couple. I need to be made aware that if fire safety comes into my yard and tells me I need to remove trees, and I need to get permission from someone to remove those trees.
Say that again.
Fire safe came to my house and said it would be good if you could either lower the branches on this tree or remove the trees. Am I gonna, when I go to do that, am I going to have to come and get permission from someone to remove those trees
Are they on your property?
on my property?
No.
Okay.
So would that have been the building
We don't
thing that had that?
No, so
requirement?
their neighborhood has a covenant on it that says that to their scheme, they're not allowed to remove any native
Okay, it's under
trees.
that building scheme.
Only in their neighborhood. We don't have a tree removal bylaw in Princeton, and it's same with I think it was in the letter about the soil removal. We don't have that in we don't have a bylaw for soil removal either. So that would be something that might be in that building scheme. So, but the building scheme, we can't factor in the building scheme because it's not something that we have jurisdiction over. It's a legal covenant between the neighborhood and the properties in that neighborhood. So it's separate from the town of Princeton. So we can't, I know it's difficult because that's what the complaints are mostly based on, but we don't have jurisdiction over that building scheme. It's not something in our files. Maybe just read the whole thing.
I'll just read the first part. The short answer is the town can exercise its statutory authority to approve this development if it's consistent with the town's land use bylaws and other applicable bylaws and without regard to the building scheme. So basically our lawyer's saying the building schemes, like what Mayor Coyne's saying, is between the property owners. It was put in when the subdivision was done. Our statutory authority is approving anything to do with our land use bylaws, which is including doing variances for size, setbacks, height.
Right.
So I heard reference that at the purchase of the property, the purchaser was given information on what he could do or couldn't do or whatever.
The building
So
scheme's
what-
registered on the
What does that
property.
have to do with us?
Nothing.
According to our lawyers, nothing. So that's where gets complicated, is because it doesn't actually have any. We
Is
don't
this
have.
like a gated community or something?
No.
No.
So when our friend built that subdivision up there, he put in covenants on the properties stating that they had to look and feel a certain way. That is like, same with down over here. We had legal covenants on properties over here after the school was sold, and then there was restrictions put on, or the property that we have down where the plaza is, there's restrictions on it by the previous owner who put covenants in place. Those covenants have nothing to do with the municipality or a local government. They have to do between the person who put the covenant on and the neighbors that are part of that covenant. So it'd be kind of like, it's almost like in this situation, it's almost like a strata. They have a set of rules that are supposed to be followed by the people who buy into that community or that neighborhood. So the legality is between them and the land and the new owner, and the fallout is between them and the new owner. It has nothing to do with us, and that's what our lawyer's letter says, is that no, we're not a party to that, so we can't consider that because it's not ours to consider. It is between them, the developer, who we know, and the new owner, Mr. Holmes. So that's who that is between. So for us to rule or make a decision in the best interest of what we can, that is not something that we can factor in because it's not ours to factor in.
Right.
So that's where this gets complicated, is because there is a set of rules, but they're not our set of rules that we have no jurisdiction over. It's like saying we're gonna go and enforce the speed on the highway. We don't have jurisdiction over that. So as much as it does factor into the community up there, it can't factor into our decision because it's not our place to weigh into that decision. And that's what our lawyers have said. We have the jurisdiction to allow or not to, through our building bylaw and our DPs and whatnot, but we don't have, we're not a party to that, so we can't be part of that discussion.
We're not responsible for enforcing someone else's
Yeah,
rules and regulations.
that's where this gets messy, and that's the struggle with this one, is there's a problem, but it's not something that we can enforce.
I guess the problem in all these cases when we have variances that we have to look at and everything else, the number one drive of this council when we go to strategic planning and everything else is we've got an expanding mine, we've got an expanding pod plant, we've got people coming in from everywhere, we have no place to put them, and we're trying to do everything we can to be able to create housing. And we have to keep that in mind when if this all comes down to whether they meet or don't meet our bylaws and requirements, then I myself have a hard time not seeing it go forward.
Okay. Councillor Elliott, do you have anything to add?
No, actually, I don't.
Okay. I will ask staff to reach out, see if they can get a hold of the developer to talk about this further. Just for our reference in the future. Yep.
So, carrying on to what Councillor McLean had said, you know, like what our objective is in that, how we can look at it from what you've said, how we are required to look at this from what lens. It meets the zoning requirements. Even the proposed use meets the zoning requirements for a shop, garage. The question was, and the request is on the size, it's subject to a building permit being approved for the main house, and then as well as then if that happens, then this building permit for the carriage house / shop would also have to go through the building department, and then it's the building department's responsibility to ensure that it complies and meets all the setbacks, the slope stability, and all of that. Our role and objective is to ensure that it complies with permitted uses of a residential zoning. So
Just-
within our zoning.
Just our zoning. That's all we can. That's all we can make a decision on is based on what our zoning bylaw and what our rules around the zoning are. So we can put in the motion if you want, that it depends on
I would
getting
love
on that, and also if you want a slope stability.
Yes.
So there are things you can add to it as long as it's within our jurisdictional authority to add to it. You can't add things that are not within our jurisdictional authority, because then that puts us in a position of liability. So that's, I understand, it becomes complicated because it's not something we can make a decision on.
And then you explain too why council didn't see this building scheme, because it's not something that we can even use to vary our decision making, because we have no authority over that building scheme. So
I mean, I would hope that the neighborhood could come together and come to some sort of agreement outside of this council, so it doesn't become something that is a neighborhood dispute, but that's not something we can ask for either. We can strongly suggest that is worked on as a neighborhood, but those are not things that we can enforce either. This is the first time I've come across this, and we've had stuff in the past with that neighborhood, and it's the first time this has come up in the whole time that I've been around, and I'm guessing the first time since Councilor McLean's been around with this one too. So it's frustrating. I understand that. So, but I have to ask what council's wishes and which direction you want to take.
I'm gonna rely on that the building department will ensure that the site placement will meet the requirements to ensure it's safe for slope stability and everything too, so. And I know we've had other presentations before us before where it's there's emotions attached to it, and it's really hard for us to not take that into consideration, but we have to look at it from, is it within our bylaws? And therefore my motion will be to support with the amendments of that it's subject to approval of a building permit for the main house
Geotech.
and a geotech. Because there's nothing, and I had to ask, there's nothing saying really what the plans of the main house are, so that I could be ensured that it met those qualifications within our bylaw.
I would second that. I don't see that we have any choice.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do you have it written out? Can you read the motion back?
Subject to a building permit for the primary or principal house, and that a geotech is.
Okay, and it's seconded by Councilor McLean.
Yeah.
Councilor Elliott, did you have a comment? You were signed like you had one?
I was agreeing with Councillor Gould about the primary house, because otherwise we're basically putting the carriage before the house, and I want to avoid that.
We wouldn't even be able to issue this building permit until that other building permit is
Yes,
done. So
understood.
even if the variance is approved, the building department can't issue accessory building permit if there's not at least a building permit in place for the.
Well, and that makes sense to me, because my understanding of the carriage house concept is that it is an infill concept, and you can't do infill without something already there.
Okay, so is there any last comments, questions? We have a motion. It's made and seconded. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, 6.2, transfer to reserve funds. James, I'm guessing this is a new version of the one that's in our package?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, the, just fix this for a second, sorry. So the, yeah, there's a new copy. The The recommendation itself does not change. It's the same proposal as it was before. The backup documentation inside, a couple of points that I'll just guide council through. Nothing too dramatic or earth-shattering here. As part of the background, I've separated out, we already have a general operating reserve that's passed every year through the financial plan. Essentially, it encompasses all operational spending. So if it's not part of the capital plan, it becomes operational by nature. It's things that, expenses we use over the course of a given year that's not expected to last multiple years into the future or extend multiple years into the past. Inside that general reserve, there are a couple of capital expenditures every year where we're asked for a municipal cost share, where the source of funds is from general taxation, and those are captured usually in the general operations reserve for council's consideration, and so that it's broken out by project. I have added what's called a general capital reserve. It's not part of the bylaw, it's actually included within the general operations reserve. So it includes things like the recreation master plan completion, not part of any sort of grant or anything that we've received. It's part of general taxation. That's why that's there. Remnants from the airport lighting project. There was a municipal cost share that wasn't completed for that, so that's included in this project. The annexed HVAC system didn't come with a grant. That's also included in there. Arena condenser, that was agreed to in the financial plan to pay the general taxation. That's in there. The administrative program project, so that's our new MuniWare style to replace former iCity Vadim. That was passed in the last financial plan. And town hall security upgrades, which were approved by resolution. So those amounts get rolled up into the general operations reserve. That's that wind up to general operations reserve. So the amounts that are in that general capital reserve are included in the general operations reserve. So hopefully that clears that up. If there's any questions on that, I'm happy to answer them through that. There was a $2 discrepancy in the final balance. Just me typing a little bit too fast on the parkland reserve. That's been corrected as part of this. The growing community funds was a antiquated opening balance. That was corrected. Again, nothing altered the beginning and final balances, and the amounts are written as perceived there. So I asked that council allocate the reserves for the year. That needs to go as part of our audit process, and I'm happy to field any questions.
Questions?
Yep.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so thank you, James, for the amendments. In regards to the general operating reserve and the general capital reserve, two things. One, that those would be like what's in our financial plan and capital plan as our taxation items approved or surplus from reserves, correct?
Yeah, and then some. So there's a couple of flow-through items that are also included in there that are approved by statute. For example, our remittance to the regional district every year. We can't actually not have that in the financial plan. It's not considered an expenditure for the community charter. It's considered a flow-through cost, which is under 197B. We tax it, we pay it, and it gets included out of the general operations reserve cash. So things of that nature are also included in there. We spent $21,061,705.96 out of our bank account this year. Yeah. So that includes everything from there.
Everything. Okay, so just specifically this $202,455.38. So under general operating reserves, it's a draw, so it's out of there.
It actually goes back into there. So
a draw is a credit?
The operations reserve is $21 million. It includes that $202,000. So it winds up back to the general operating reserve.
Okay, so just from your reporting though, that's where I'm confused, it's saying it's a draw. And then on the bottom line, the general capital reserve says it's an addition and then
That's right, so the expenses, there's 202,000 as part of that 21 million that we spent last year. That's from capital projects, and from operational payments, 20,785, 285.67.
you keep repeating that, but the point being that it's saying that one is an addition and one's a withdrawal, but then it's saying, you're saying, so just semantics. You're taking money from the reserve, the general capital reserve, and putting it into the general operations to pay it.
That's right.
Okay, so it's just, it is two. Okay, one's a draw, one's a, okay. On the one that we discussed last year, the water and sewer reserve, project reserve, can you speak to why you added a line in that?
So the, as you pointed out last year with the presentation of the 2024 reserve transfers, the accountant made the transfer, or the auditor suggested the transfer be made from 2023 to 2024. That wasn't properly captured in the reserves for last year. They'll be captured in the reserves for this year, which means that it gets adjusted for this year's report, and then that final number is the correct number that's in that reserve.
Okay, but it's a 2023.
Correct.
Whereas, so that what changed there was the carry forward.
Okay.
But in the end, the numbers on your recommendation are now correct,
That's right.
updated,
Yep.
and it's the backup that needed the changes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
So you need a motion?
I do need a motion.
I would so move.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's moved by Councillor McLean. Elliott, last chance for questions or comments. All in favor? That is carried.
I think our other accountant should move.
I didn't get that too.
Okay, Councillor McLean, you probably should leave the room now.
Not the first time.
Might not ask you to come back. 6.3 Princeton Junior Hockey Club grant or loan or whatever we're doing. So whoever, James, I guess, or Lyle, or whoever wants to open with this one.
I'll just start off by giving you a high level. The Princeton Posse is in need of a new bus. It's used for their team activities, but also highly used by the community. The Posse executive and the mine management have come to an agreement. The mine would like to contribute a large amount of money to purchase a new bus for the Posse organization. They've come to an agreement where they would contribute $155,000 over 3 years, with $50,000 up front. So there'd be 2 consecutive payments of $50,000 and $55,000. So there's a need of some bridge financing, and that's where they have asked the town to be involved. And I'll maybe turn it over to James to kind of speak to how that would work.
Yeah, thank you, Lyle. So how staff has decided to propose the structuring of the agreement to council is through 2 separate transactions. So we already have a process in place for an operating grant for the junior hockey club per year. It is on the financial plan for 2026 to 2030. We would propose increasing that grant for this year only to $150,000. It wouldn't shift the structure of the financial plan or require any changes to that. And also, in place of that, we would add a $50,000 a year donation from Copper Mountain Mine for 26, 27, and then $55,000 for 2028. A couple of reasons we decided to structure it this way. Number one, it becomes a little bit stronger when it comes to if the money was not repaid. As a loan, we would have, strong, we would have collateral and things of that nature. It may affect the ownership of the posse moving forward. Lease considerations being possible. We may have to have title on that bus until the loan has been fully repaid. This way, with a grant, it's done, it's donated, we're completed that way. From an ownership standpoint of the bus itself, it belongs to the Junior Hockey Club, lock, stock, and barrel. Staff is confident that the amount will be repaid in the 3 years, enough to actually recommend this to council. We are administratively treating this more as a loan. So that would trigger different provisions of the community charter, specifically under section 24. Anytime we lend money to a organization, lending money to a business is prohibited under section 25, but the posse is not a business or a nonprofit society, which qualifies as an organization, which means this is possible. And we are doing public notice requirements. That's part of the resolution in front of council, and for 2 editions of the newspaper before we'd be able to move forward with this proposition. Staff believes it's in the best interest of the community. The posse is a very strong fabric within the town of Princeton, and we'd like to support them as best we can. So that's why it received our recommendation to council. Happy to answer any questions that the council has with this at this time. Thank you.
So I have a question. Actually, a couple questions. One, so if this is going to be their grant and aid this year, the normal grant and aid that we give them would not, they wouldn't get that grant and aid. We would just give them the money for the bus and not their other funds.
No, at the moment it'd be cumulative, so they get both.
So they get their normal one plus this 150 plus on top.
That's correct.
Okay, because I don't want to see the club not be able to operate just because they got a bus now. The other one, and I'm going to just steal it from Councillor Gould. I know she had some concerns about the advertising. So I guess the question for Carrie is, do we have a policy on where we advertise outside of what is in the community charter currently?
We do not.
Okay, so and that says we have to put it under where we normally put public notices plus the newspaper, right?
Yeah, our legislative notices generally fall under section 94, and we have to advertise for 2 consecutive weeks in the local paper.
Okay. Okay. Councillor Gould, did you have other questions?
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll talk on the advertising. So in the report, which I appreciate you included in there, were the 2 sections that alone would come under for the town and our requirements under the community charter, which we must follow. It does give the option for under section 94(3) for a council may provide any additional notice respecting. I'm trying to read it all.
Yeah, no, you're correct. But
Respecting a matter that it considers appropriate. So
Yeah,
that's where my request was. Would we be considering?
that would be up to
And that would be up to us.
That would be up to council, not up to staff. Staff are meeting their legislative requirements.
Yeah.
If there's anything above and beyond the legislative requirements, it's up to council to add that as part of the motion or have the discussion at this point as to whether or not they wanted to go above and beyond the regular. So
Yeah.
that is totally separate from that, but if you
Yeah.
want to have that, then you have to bring that forward now.
Right. And then my original request was for a copy of the proposed wording because it says a council must give notice. And then being that it's a requirement under the charter, that I felt we should have a copy of what the advertisement would read. And there was a few questions in regards to that I think they're still working on for your wording, for amending the just the typos and,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay. So, once that's done, I'd ask that a copy of it be attached to the formal motion, or whatever ends up happening today. Just because it's a requirement that we have it.
Yeah, it'll go in the file. Carrie keeps a file on all
Yeah.
motions and
I've
whatnot. So.
actually photocopied the newspaper, it has
Yeah.
the date and that full page for all bylaws that require
Yeah,
legislative
but,
notices.
but seeing how it falls on the council that we're meeting those requirements, I wanted to ensure that the advertisement was meeting the requirements. And then it comes down to the explanations given, and this is my personal feeling on it, is you said the posse's in need of bridge financing. You say grant, loan, and I am wholeheartedly feeling, regardless of the who's and the how's and the whys, it's a loan. We're taking money out of our account, we're giving it to somebody for an indeterminate period of time, and we're expecting repayment. So if it was a grant, we would give the money, there would be an expectation that they meet requirements of the grant, but then no expectation of repayment. So I stumble and stick on the fact of the wording of grant versus loan.
So again, this is something that council can make that decision. If they want to make it a loan, then don't bring up the motion that's there. The motions that are here, I just want to make it clear, are recommendations. So if council decides that if they would rather it be called a loan, then it is up to council to make that recommendation and put it on the floor. And other than a grant, I see James has his hand up, so I'll let him answer this before.
Okay, so from an administrative standpoint, using the policies that we have in place, the grant and donation policy that was passed in 2023 gives council the purview of taking large donations and vetting them to make sure that they are acceptable to the town of Princeton. It provides a little bit more oversight to the revenue side of things. Approving a loan would subject the hockey club to a loan agreement and moving forward, but it wouldn't have any basis for questioning where the funds were coming from. Because they're coming from a third party, this triggers the donation, which actually allows council to scrutinize the whole structure, and the revenue and the expense side of it, which I think is a little bit more of an open and transparent process. So it leads a little bit more credence to that side of it. I agree the two structures are very similar, grant plus donation and loan. We're following the procedure as laid out in the community charter for a loan to make sure we have that due diligence. There's really not a lot of difference between the two structures that we're going to have in place. But from a town policy standpoint, I believe this process gives a better oversight to council to make sure that this is in the best interest of the municipality.
So the money that that's going to be received as the donation comes straight to the town of Princeton for the sole purpose of them to pay for the bus, correct?
At the posse's discretion, because we're not a party to their contribution agreement.
But the money goes to us before it goes to the posse.
It can either come from the posse, or the posse can assign any funds they receive from the mine for
So
this.
we can simply sign an agreement that the posse would give us this much, this much, and this much over the next 3 years to cover the basis of replenishing the money that we're going to take out to give them as that.
And that's
So
what the
you-
contribution is.
So, but I'm just saying, that's possible, so it's replenishing the funds that we're taking. So rather than it be a loan, it's a grant with the idea that the posse is going to make sure that that is replenished over the next 3 years on such and such April 28th or whatever. So just to clean it up so everybody understands.
Yeah, and replenished with $5,000 interest
Yep.
in lieu of that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I stumble with the word grant and loan as well, but your explanation helps.
So further then, for me, I appreciate that we're doing, if it's a grant, we wouldn't be required to do this. We just need to put it in the financial plan. But because it could be received and implied, my sticking point is that we do it as it could be perceived or implied as a loan, right? So, which is under the community charter that we do those things. It's just, for me, we're also authorizing the town of Princeton to enter into an agreement, and it's just the wording in there. So that's where it's like, by you saying it's a grant, if those repayment, there's like no proviso of if it doesn't happen, then it's, the donor may proceed with immediate action.
The fail-safe too is, if you remember, there's a line item where the council does support the posse $30,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the posse were to fold or whatever, you would just stop making those payments, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you would recoup
Well, if
your
they
money
were
that way.
full,
So-
they wouldn't need them.
Yeah, I was, poor choice of words, but if they chose not to pay the money back,
Yeah.
you have the option of withholding that or not, right? So-
Okay, perfect. So then, going to James, specifically to that line item, is it the line item is gonna increase from 30 to 180
For 1 year.
For 1 year.
for 1 year?
And then that's.
So, and that isn't does it fall under the grants? I thought it was under recreation.
No, we have a line item for.
Yeah,
the
it's a
posse.
line item grant.
Yeah.
It's not under the grant aid program.
It's not the grant.
No, no,
You
no.
said grant and aid.
It is a
that's what I'm
grant.
kinda like-
It's a grant that we give them, but it's not under the grant and aid budget. It's a grant and aid that we give them as a line item that we changed
Yeah.
from, because every year they had to reapply, so we
So then
changed
if
it.
we're changing that line item, we haven't had third,
It'll be changed for third reading of the financial plan.
thank you.
And just to be clear, that they are getting $50,000 up front from the mine,
Yeah.
so it's only $105,000.
Yeah.
That would be actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
included, sure.
And honestly, looking at what account rates would be, like if that 100,000 stayed in the account for that year and then 50 for another year, at 0.5%, you're actually making money.
I
You're
think they got a
making money.
bus lined up, and that's the
Yeah.
urgency to this.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
And, I mean, the bus, I mean, they brought this, they asked me to sit in on their meeting with the mine, and I was happy to do so, and the amount of community work that the bus does now, like, they take all of our kids on school trips because it's cheaper than the school bus from the school district, and, you know, they take people on excursions and whatnot, and it's, you know, it's a real community asset now, so it's not, it's kind of sad that it's cheaper than the school bus, but
It is,
it
yeah.
is what it is.
But it's good for the team.
It's good for the team, it's good for the community, because it shows that we're supporting our community in a bigger way, so. Council have a direction that they want to go?
So I would make the recommendation as proposed that we approve the increase into the line item, subject to the requirements under the community charter to do the successful completion of the community requirements, which is the advertising.
It actually says in the
It's-
statute that we can't do it until the public notice is complete.
So, under the recommendation, though,
But,
it does say that to govern to be provided upon successful completion.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
so, it's okay as it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So-
that the line item is being increased.
And I would second that.
Okay, so it's moved by Counselor Gould, second by Counselor Elliott. Last chance for questions or comments. With that, I will ask for a vote. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. If you want, you can bring Council McLean
Yeah,
back. I don't know where he went. I hear him BSing somewhere. Come on already,
He
jeez.
gave me a choice, he said if you want it.
Well, I said they didn't have to bring
We
you, but they
actually
brought
gave
you.
him a choice if he wanted to go get you.
I would have ran away.
I was wondering.
6.4, Allison Avenue Sanitary Sewer Realignment. Jared, this is a good
Thank
one.
you. So this project was part and parcel of the original $7 million borrowing plan. With that, there was, to our knowledge, with our maps and everything, there was a giant section of the North Princeton sewer trunk main that was undersized or had issues. At that time, we estimated that the replacement of the entire trunk main through the North Princeton section would be approximately $4.2 million. Since then, we have had CCTV work done in that area, and it was found that some of the sewer mains were actually of adequate size and did not need to be replaced. After that, we put together an estimate to fix the undersized area, which is from Bill Minor Way by like Ingerbell area all the way to Riverfront, so down to the river. That section has some 4-inch and 6-inch pipe in there. It really ideally should be 10-inch. It restricts current flow, and it would definitely restrict any future development flow. So in 2023, I had an estimate done up, and to fix that undersized section and 3 other sections that were just had limited slope was going to be $3.4 million. We've looked at this again, and that original section, the undersized section, still needs to be fixed, but I want to propose putting a brand new line all the way through Allison Avenue to connect down by the park. This would let us, well, we wouldn't have to upgrade the problem areas that are in the lower section on Riverfront, and it would also actually keep the 2 sections kind of separate. That lower section is vulnerable to flood events, so if it did happen to flood again, the main flow would not have to go down through there anymore. It would go up on the high ground. So the estimate that we came up for that was just over $2.2 million, and I've put that project out to tender and received 7 bids, and I'm proposing that Timbro Contracting be awarded the contract for $1.9 million, and for a total project cost of $2,199,246.26.
Questions? Yep, go ahead.
You mentioned that you can, during flood or high water, like help alleviate the flow on that lower section that goes along Riverside.
Yep.
Can you redirect it? Can you stop it? Can you, so that it doesn't
At this point, no.
backfill or flat?
That's the main line that runs down right beside the river. So with this new section, it would totally eliminate that section. It would still be flow there, but it wouldn't be the main line anymore.
Okay.
So if something were to happen, we could plug a line and the floodwaters wouldn't enter from that point.
Okay. And are there main water lines on the Allison Avenue?
I believe they're in the alley.
So we're not going to be digging them up or anything like that?
No.
Because I'm like, if we're digging,
They're one over, aren't they?
the minister of
There are some
water
in a different section, but
Picture the map in my head.
the section of undersized piping that we're going to be replacing does have water main there. It would be a substantial extra cost to have that done, and they are older lines, but there's really no issue with them at this time.
But it's not that we're going to be interrupting them.
No, no
And
interruptions.
and then the contract includes repaving.
Correct.
And sidewalks.
If they were taken out, not the building of new sidewalks. Just
That's another couple $1,000,000.
Darn it. I thought one side of Angela's getting,
No.
or Allison's getting sidewalks. Okay. Okay. So with this proposal, it sounds like there's a savings and more work's being done.
Correct.
Okay. Yay. Okay, I'm good with that.
Okay, anybody else?
I'll make the motion to accept that.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Elliott, seconder.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Gould. Last question, chance. Anybody have any questions? All in favor? Carried. And that goes down to council reports. And I'm going to start with Councillor Elliott.
Lots of meetings as always. Lately I've been doing some HR work, going through job interviews with the Princeton Museum as they've been hiring someone on a contract there. Next week, I'll be doing some HR work in Carameus as we go through the applications of people looking to fill a position at the grist mill. Other than that, interagency meeting. I had a meeting this morning for the Canadian Mental Health Association on Zoom or Teams or whatever that remote thing is you do. And tonight I have an AGM to run the election for the Two Rivers Event Society, and I'm sure I'm missing stuff, but yeah, it's busy.
Thank you. Councillor McLean.
Just that I think it's time that we thought about expanding the arena. we ran out of places to put people the other day, and I'm thinking that far wall, that bank, that wall could be just expanded out that way or whatever. But anyway, just from my perspective, the team coming back from 3 games down and winning the next 4
Amazing.
was a great reflection on their work habit and the coaches' work habits and all. I actually went into his room the other day because he's constantly in front of a computer looking at plays and what all, and I said, "You're going to go blind." And he said, "That's my job." And I said, "It's not your job to go blind." But anyway, I suppose all the work that he does and the team did was responsible for their effort and everything else. Other than that, no meetings or anything.
Thank you. Councillor Gould.
Aside from the regular meetings of council, I also am on the board of the Skills Center, and I had been doing some HR time with them as well to replace the manager that we had just replaced. We were very thankful to still have Sharon in town, and she was able and is able to step in until a new person has been named, and I believe we're at the public announcement stage by the end of this week, so I will wait for that to come out.
Excellent.
But Sharon has agreed to continue to stay on and help with training and any other assistance that's needed there, which is great.
Perfect. As always, been pretty busy. The real highlight stuff, I guess, is last week I attended let me get their name right, Industry Cluster Force Innovation Community Meeting. This was a meeting with industry, First Nations, government, and Merritt and Princeton on the future of forestry in our TSA, how to cooperate, how to try to move together so that we can continue forestry in our region. It was an all-day meeting up in Merritt. Started at like 9 o'clock or 8:30, and I got home around supper time, or after supper, I guess it was. It was a long meeting. It was a good meeting. There was lots of good conversation about where we need to go and how we need the government to kind of step out of forestry and let industry and community kind of work it out so that we can continue to move forward. What else is there that's super high? Had a meeting yesterday with Interior Health and the hospital and the doctors. We're good right now till summer. With doctors, we're being filled with nurses from outside of the community. We do need RNs. We are short on them, so we're part of a program where RNs come from out of the community, and we are working off of locums in our ER right now. So we do need to deal with that. The chief of staff is going to work with the Division of Family Services or Family Practices to try to see what recruitment can look like there. The Interior Health is working on recruitment from their side, and we're going to try to get all together and have a meeting on how we can all collaborate together, which I think takes us to a bigger conversation about not just doctors, but employee retention and attraction to the community. If we can attract somebody who's partner is a nurse or a doctor and they can get a job somewhere else in community, then we have a better chance of keeping these people in our community right now. So, yeah, that's a big one for all of us. Lyle and Justin have been working with the province on the Trans-Canada Trail. I think we're getting close, Lyle? Justin's done some amazing work and whatnot, so I think we have to take that to the Regional District Board to get it approved, and then it's already been sent to the province. Tomorrow I have Regional District, but I also have a meeting with the Minister of Forests, who's going to be in Princeton tomorrow for an announcement, and then I'm at Regional District, so he's going to meet me on his way to the Kelowna Airport. So we have an hour slated for a conversation, and I don't know what that's about, so I'll tell you afterwards. And I also met with the company that got the contract to do the cleanup in Headley for the mine reclamation there, and they seem like a really good company. They're a what do they call it? A social enterprise. So it's not all about profit. It's about getting results. They've got some pretty good goals, and it looks like once that project gets going, we should see hopefully a cleanup of the Headley tailings. They will be looking for local contractors to help them and procurement. So there could be jobs for the community down the road. And this morning I met with the RCMP. We now have Sergeant and I have a monthly meeting, and he also meets with our bylaw department separate, just to get caught up and keep each other in the loop. I think they're doing that twice a month. He wants to keep me in a meeting, so we're gonna work on what day, what committee of the whole he can come to talk to council. He was off he was off sick, so we just he came back to work, so he's like, let's meet. But yeah, so we just got a new recruit. We got another one coming, and he's working on a third position to fill. So we hope to be back to full strength by summer, which is great because it's been a long time, and that'll help. So we just talked about some of the priorities, some of the stuff that he's working on, some of the things where we can help, so with some advocacy, so mental health issues and whatnot within the community, and how to help navigate some of that. So we're going to work on that, and then working on a get-together between the RCMP membership and our team, just so everybody can get to know each other, because there's a lot of new faces. And I'm sure I'm missing a bunch of stuff, but that's the high-level stuff. It's been a busy couple of weeks, as normal. Yep.
Is it possible to expand a little bit about any progress on the Trans-Canada Trail?
Well, RDUS staff, by way of Justin Shuttleworth, he took a lot of time and actually rode his bike on all the sections that were damaged and whatever. He's done, in consultation with all of us, he's done, he's kind of divided it up into 4 sections there's areas within those 4 sections that are repairable, we'll say. It's not going to be a continuous trail all the way through, but there's certain sections that are salvageable that do fit into the DFAA program that the province could apply for to have funds directed to repairing those sections, and they would be a benefit to the communities along the way. So I'll probably leave it at that. He's going to be presenting to the RDUS.
We're taking a bit of a step back now that Justin's gotten involved. The regional district is a license holder on it, so they're the licensee. So he'll present to the board on the next steps. I know he's presented this information already to the province.
Yes.
And
staff to staff.
And they have some concerns about maintenance, liability, etc. Mm-hmm. So he's working that out. He'll bring it to the regional district board, and then that would fall under our regional trails program that we all pay into. So I mean, we were there to get the conversation happening. Conversation's going well. I think you guys meet quite regularly with the province now. The minister has instructed them to move forward, and then once they kind of come to an agreement, then I'm sure the minister and I will come back together to kind of say yes or no on how we're going to continue that relationship, and once they've made their decision. So I think we've done pretty much all we can do right now, and it's really in the regional district's hand to keep that going. But it is super important to all of us. It's super important to the communities around us. So.
Okay, I have three things. One is reference to medical, whether it's nurses or doctors or whatever. What I remember in the past, when we encouraged interaction with the doctors in their hospital show and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff, I think it's incumbent on us to at least encourage some kind of, I don't know, welcoming them to the community, or making a part of it, or doing stuff that involves them or whatever, to be able to say, hey, thank you very much for being here, and we want you to enjoy it here, and we want all that sort of thing. So I think, I know you mentioned that before, so I want to go ahead on that.
Posse wants to throw some season tickets to their new doctors.
Not a problem. Not a problem. My other one was paving. I see a thing in here about water lines and all that kind of thing. I think at some point in time, years ago, we put forth a loan kind of thing in terms of trying to get water things looked after, in terms of our old underground water lines and all that sort of thing. In my mind, at some point in time, council has to take it under advisement to be able to start to do something about paving. As far as I'm concerned, we're falling behind. As I drive around the community, you know, if we borrowed money to do water lines, why the hell can't we borrow money to do paving and bring it up to date where you're proud of? We do all this work to make the place look great and everything else, and the sidewalks I agree with and all that kind of stuff, but paving is an intricate part of your look of your town and everything else. Anyway, my last thing is, years ago, I was approached by the ministry, Forest Ministry.
Oh yeah.
Who said to me, when I was mayor, said, can you make as little uproar about our local forestry office being pulled out of Princeton and moved to Merritt? It's my understanding that Merritt doesn't have a sawmill anymore. They used to have 5, they have 0 now, according to Dean. Okay, well, as far as I'm concerned, we should be going to the minister saying, can you ask Merritt to make as little stuff as possible to get the office where it belongs?
I'll give you Mike's number, and you can you can call the mayor.
In all seriousness, I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
Your sawmill, your main thing, your pellet plant, and everything else is here, and your forestry office is in Merritt. And then maybe it did make sense back then to move it because they had 5 smaller sawmills or whatever. It doesn't make any sense anymore. As far as I'm concerned, we should start to.
There's still a lot, just for the record, there is still a lot of forestry in Merritt. A lot of our loggers are from Merritt. A lot of our trucking companies are from Merritt. They have the Post and Rail plant. They have the biomass project. They have Stuick, who does a bunch of stuff. So there's still a lot of stuff happening in the Merritt area.
They don't have a major sawmill.
They don't have a major sawmill.
And they don't have as far as I know, they don't have as big a pellet plant as what we have. But anyway, whatever.
They have a different type.
Whatever. The point is that
I will bring it up tomorrow when I talk to the minister. I will ask him, can you move the office back to Princeton? We did buy this building to keep those services here.
Well, mention that they took it away when we had jobs here in Princeton, that they took the jobs away from us.
I will. I'll bring it up with them.
Anyway.
One thing on your.
Yeah.
You had discussed about helping with relocation of doctors and nurses and their spouses. Just remind you to talk to those people to partner with the skill center too, because they're totally within their
well, and that's why I said we need a bigger plan. Like right now, there's no employment, and there's no like recruitment plan for the community. There's no retention program. And that's something that we have to look at.
And they tend to have a really good pulse on what jobs are available in the community and are able to place people based on their skills. And
Yeah. I know housing's always a challenge too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you want to comment on the paving?
Well,
Since
need
we
to
took your
decide
paving
that.
budget and put it into sidewalks this year? And I believe he might have made that motion, so.
I don't have a problem with the sidewalks. What I'm saying is, we planned ahead on the water, why can't we plan ahead on the paving and see if we can do something about it?
Well,
We definitely can.
We usually do.
I have looked at it too, and we have a lot of old infrastructure under the ground. So in order to do big paving projects, we actually have to do big infrastructure projects at the same
Absolutely.
time. So
For sure.
yes, we can put these together, but we're gonna have to look for grants.
But the other thing about it is, if you can do a big enough project, they'll move, you know, a facility into town, and they're able to offer a lower price, because you're not just doing a little bit here, a little bit there, you're doing
For
a
sure.
major job, and
Yeah.
they can lower the price a little bit.
Yep, definitely.
Get on that, eh?
Will do.
Even a number.
The other thing is,
Even a number.
Yeah.
This meeting's been too serious up to now.
I remember us sending fruit baskets or flower baskets or whatever to the new doctors or nurses. Do
We
we
do.
do that?
Still
Yeah.
do.
We
Yep.
do? Perfect.
Still do.
So
I've had Councillor Gould and Councillor Elliott deliver those for me when
Yeah,
I
so
can't
we-
go, so.
You can do the next.
Okay, shut my mouth.
Yeah, as long as we get the notice, we do it, so.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've had.
Yeah, the info
Whatever
center
one.
puts them together generally for us.
Beautiful, beautiful, yeah. No, not anymore. We do it out of this
Oh,
office.
okay.
Yeah, there was some challenges. Okay, we'll move on to correspondence receive and file. The first one I did want to bring to your attention. I'd ask that you all read it. This has been something that Silga's been working on for almost 3 years, I believe. So just for you to know, we're looking at a rate structure change, just because it is getting harder and harder to be able to afford convention staff and everything else that we do. So just for your information. And then 8.2 is a letter from, that's from, the city of Prince George. So with that, I'll ask for a motion to receive 8.1 and 8.2.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
So second.
Elliott Gould. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. And then we have a correspondence action requested. 9.1 is from the BC Council Forest Industries. It's requesting the town of Princeton endorse the Forestry is a Solution initiative. And I think everybody received this email individually and whatnot, so,
Yeah, that was actually sent directly to me.
yeah, it was sent to all of us,
Yeah.
individuals, so.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
I move to, I make that motion.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Elliott. McLean, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Oh yeah, and then, yeah, the next one is the Regional District Solid Waste Management Plan. The RDOS is requesting the town of Princeton provide a letter of support for the solid waste management plan. Jared or Lyle, did you want to speak to it before we?
They came and made a presentation. They're, I think it's just, they're just looking for support at this point of their plan that they have to submit to the province, so.
Okay. Yep.
So I wasn't at that, maybe the whole meeting, but I did get the report and I did watch the video. So it's just saying, how does it affect your community? A few times it says that the town consider a few things, so like consider expanding our collection programs to include organics, and consider expanding collection services to include businesses and multifamily. And other things to consider. It's just to consider, no requirement.
To consider the increased cost that the regional district has borne in the last year to increase in their garbage collection, and that is just astronomical. So before you guys consider any of that, I would strongly urge staff to put together a report on accepting any of these recommendations from their solid waste plan, because it is significant, like to the point where people are directors are looking to use gas tax money to offset some of the cost to residents. That's that big. So like, what is it? Headley's garbage pickup is almost, I think it's doubled almost. Like, it's crazy. So,
That's my understanding, is that.
and it's a
increased
reduction in service.
in
really.
all the other areas, but it doesn't really affect us because ours is a drop off, right?
Us and Area H are different, yeah.
But then they're asking us, the request is that we adopt a resolution supporting this
Yeah,
plan,
we're just writing a letter of support right now. So
supporting the plan.
just that we're supporting their solid waste management plan. Doesn't mean we're adopting anything.
Okay, good, thank you.
That would take a whole nother one. And actually, Lyle and I have discussed, and I think Jared was part of some of those conversations. Why are we part of their solid waste management plan when we manage our own landfills? So,
And they pay us,
yeah,
we bill back to them.
yeah,
We manage it, they bill,
yeah. So
so yeah, that is interesting, like,
But there's some good recommendations in there.
Yeah.
yeah, I like the organics idea, and you had said in the meeting that, like, have a place to go. You had mentioned about, like, how much organics there is, but there's no place to take it.
Yep.
But that it be put into one place, and then a business that wants it, be it a business here, or that Brenda Renewables, I think, was the other one that was interested.
Yeah,
that
for-
they, at their expense, come and remove it.
Yeah.
yeah, that's not how the model works. So you pay them to come pick it up. So
They want it.
maybe we buy a bin truck and drop it off ourselves. Might be cheaper in the long run. So anyways, right now we're just they're asking us for a letter of support for their plan. So council wants to.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Moved by Councilor Elliott, McLean. Any last questions? All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. I got one new one, and that's 11.1. I know Carrie doesn't have this on her resolution sheet. It's just to appoint myself to be the representative to the Okanagan-Smilkmeen Watershed Collaborative Leadership Table. That's the water one with the municipalities, regional districts, and Okanagan Nation that I've been attending. They've just asked that everybody go back to their councils and do a resolution so that it's
Formal.
if it's formal, but after the election, if there's a big changeover, then it's listed on everybody as a appointee, so they hopefully can get continuation.
So if we make this resolution, could we make it that in future, the mayor be our representative, so that you don't have, then it just would be whoever succeeds as mayor if there is a change?
Yeah.
Or should it be?
Well, I think the council has to make that decision on their own, so if it's on the list, then if there is a new council, they'll just get a list of all the appointees and they can make
Just
that
so it's
decision.
not mixed.
It doesn't actually do anything, they're hoping for continuity, so.
Okay, well, I will happily make that recommendation that you sit as the representative.
I'm actually quite enjoying it, so.
I would happily second that motion.
Thank you. Gould, Elliott.
Another job? Perfect.
Yeah, no, you know what, we meet like quarterly, so it's not big.
Yeah.
And we get to go around the region, so it's kind of
Yeah.
cool, so.
Keep you out of trouble.
Yeah, that's right. I need that. All in favor? Carried. That's it. Motion to close that the meeting be closed for the purpose of 90.1C, labor relations and other employee relations, and 90.1K, negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service and that are in their preliminary stages.
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Gould. McLean, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. With that, we will go into close and